All right, week 6 college football breakdown here. A little SEC matchup late at night in South Carolina, traveling to Lexington and taking on Kentucky. This line was actually at 10, 10 and a half, came all the way down to 6, 6 and a half. Looks like Will Levis is more than just questionable. This line move would indicate that he's not going to play in this game for Kentucky. We've seen the total come down as well to about 46 and a half. Really, Kentucky has no experience after Levis at the quarterback position. They're notorious over the years for having to play guys like Lynn Bowden Jr. and just run all these kind of like makeshift quarterback offenses. I don't think that's going to really apply here. I mean, they've got backup quarterbacks, but they just don't have any experience at the college level. And they haven't really pulled away in some of their easier games this year. So they haven't really gotten to get their backups experience. So we really don't know what we're getting out of Kentucky's quarterback play. I will say South Carolina's defense is not great. The one thing I think they actually can do is stop the pass. Like I feel pretty good about this South Carolina secondary. By looking at it that way, this wouldn't seem to set up well for Kentucky. South Carolina's run defense hasn't really impressed me this year. And, with Chris Rodriguez Jr. back into the fold for Kentucky, this is a guy that last year was over 6 yards per carry, was one of the best backs in the SEC, if not maybe a top 10 back in college football. He was suspended for most of the season. He came back last week going up against a tough Ole Miss defense. This is a little bit more of a more manageable matchup. So with the Levis situation, I would assume that Kentucky is really going to pound the rock here. Obviously, when you take that approach, it takes away your explosiveness most likely, but it's probably the way Kentucky should go about this game, at least, just given their total inexperience at the quarterback position and the fact that their offensive line is terrible in pass blocking and has been terrible in pass blocking all year. This is a game I circled for Spencer Rattler. This is a big game for Spencer Rattler. Transfer from Oklahoma, 5-star guy, ton of hype, blue chip guy. He has instantly come into South Carolina and been an instant upgrade at that quarterback position. That's not saying much because South Carolina's quarterback situation was atrocious a year ago. Listen, I think Spencer Rattler gets a hard time because he said some things in the past that rub people the wrong way, and I get it. I mean, he very well might just be a douche, but I think he's a better player than people think. I thought he played better at Oklahoma than people would lead you to believe. He very well might have been the better option down the stretch of last season than Caleb Williams was. This South Carolina team as a whole just kind of had a tough start to the season. I mean, this early still in the Shane Beamer tenure and with Arkansas at full strength, you can't really expect them to go into Fayetteville and win that game and then come back and playing Georgia. Obviously, same thing applies, but they've played Charlotte, they've played South Carolina State, two kind of get right games. This is a game that I think South Carolina can absolutely win. Big problem for Rattler, though. He doesn't have a ton around him. I think a lot's going to fall on his shoulders at this game. If this Kentucky defense can do one thing, they have been pretty good at that linebacker spot this year, going up against the run. I'm certainly not all that enthused about South Carolina's run game, so I think a lot is going to fall on Spencer Rattler's shoulders. This is going to be a big-time prove-it game for South Carolina and for Spencer Rattler. With Levis going down, the opportunity for victory, as this line would indicate, has absolutely increased. I would lean towards South Carolina here. If we know that Will Levis is not going to play, and I think at this point we do, the betting markets wouldn't move this thing below 7 if there was really a possibility that Levis is actually going to play in this game. I know that market adjustment has already been made, but I've been pretty critical of Will Levis, but when you're talking about going from a guy like that to a guy that's never played college football, making his first career start here in the SEC at night, it's a pretty big downgrade. So I think South Carolina should be able to hang in this game. I really do think that Spencer Rattler is going to have a statement game in this one. I think for as good as Kentucky can stop the run, I mean, they're not a top 10 defense in the country. Spencer Rattler is still a very good talent, and this is the type of game where he needs to show out. I think he does. I think this is down to the wire game with Levis out. I would absolutely lean towards the Gamecocks here. Maybe this will be a very small play for me. Maybe just sprinkle on the money line. But I do think South Carolina is going to surprise some people here in this matchup. All right, guys, before we get out of here, I know you see the shirt right here, going with the Miami Vice theme today. If you're looking for some new golf apparel, head over to proud90.com. Unique but very comfortable polos. It's colder weather coming. They've also got hoodies and quarter zips as well. Proud 90's got all your golf apparel needs, so browse their selection. If you see anything you like at checkout, use code Fordham. It's going to get you 15% off your order. That's code Fordham at proud90.com is going to get you 15% off your order. Support me, support Proud 90. The rest of the information will be in the description below.